deeply rooted in Washington, D.C. As a parish and a people of faith that fight constantly for social justice. So thank you for having us this evening. Many of us are gathered here today in wake of the tragedy that took place at Sandy Hook Elementary School. For many of us, we are outraged, but most importantly, we're here in an active spirit of solidarity to end gun violence in this country and honestly throughout the world. Again, my name is Weingart. I'm with Project End Gun Violence. I'm a 34-year-old. I'm here with my fiance, Paul. We're residents of Silver Spring, Maryland. Perhaps many of us are gathered today to rally, march, and assembly in wake of the shocking horrors of last Friday's shooting massacre, which left 20 children and several adults dead. It especially hit me on Friday when learning of that tragedy to really realize that these were 20 little babies, innocent, with high expectations for the holidays, maybe Christmas, Kwanzaa, the Hanukkah season, just that time of joy, and such a travesty take place, completely extinguishes that flame of hope and that flame of charity and love. Perhaps for many of us, we're here because of the other recent mass shootings, which are constantly making headlines throughout our country. A Cineplex theater in peaceful Aurora, Colorado, a Sikh temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. And perhaps many of us are most importantly here for the painful realization that over 100 American lives have been killed since last Friday alone. A 3-year-old boy in Girthy, Oklahoma. A 14-year-old boy in Gwinnett County, Georgia. An 18-year-old and recent high school graduate, along with his 56-year-old mother and his 56-year-old father, gunned down in their car. A 25-year-old mother, she just gave birth 2 weeks ago, in Porterville, California, killed by her husband. The list goes on and on and on. Georgetown, Ohio, Washington, D.C., Denver, Colorado, San Francisco, California, Des Moines, Iowa, on and on and on. Mothers, sons, teachers, daughters, fathers, police officers, librarians, on and on and on. But I want to share with you the details of another tragic gun killing. It didn't involve a mass shooting. It wasn't in last week's headlines. And for many, it's probably something you haven't even heard of before. I want to share with you the story of 43-year-old Mary Weingart and her 2.5-year-old son. It was almost 32 years ago, on February 22nd, 1981, an early evening where my life changed forever. My mother and her ex-husband got into an argument while I was in the yard, playing, being a kid. When Bill went to his truck to retrieve his old 12-gauge shotgun and walked into the house where the argument continued for 3 minutes. All of a sudden, my mother ran down the stairs towards me before a blast from that 12-gauge shotgun ended her life and forever changed mine. Bill then walked over to me, placed the barrel of the shotgun in my mouth, and according to 3 eyewitnesses, attempted to fire 2 times, and there was, based on a police report, that there was a firing mechanism that did not allow that gun to go off. I will not paint you with what the brutal reality is and what it looks like when a human being is shot through their back with a 12-gauge shotgun 6 to 8 feet away. But it is a vivid image that will stay with me and I will take with me until my last breath on earth. Almost 32 years later, gun violence brings about new claimed victims as well as family who had every dream, happiness, sense of peace taken from them forever. Almost 32 years ago, I still remember the explosive sound of that fatal gunshot. Almost 32 years later, I still remember crawling over to my mother's hip as she lay lifeless. Almost 32 years later, I still remember the smell of fresh blood and the feeling of its warmth pulling around my legs. Almost 32 years later, I still remember the stocky police officer with a mustache scooping me away from my mother, that being the last time I would ever see her. Almost 32 years later, I am a surviving, outspoken witness to the reality of a gun culture and disease which has taken over every angle of our country. I have been a voice when strangers have been gunned down in streets and the national media never knew about it. I have been a voice, along with so many others, that come together to mourn after a mass shooting somewhere in America. I have been a voice when the last victim has been laid to rest, when the media and our society lose interest, and when people go on with their lives. In those times, I have still been a voice, often standing out, yelling, "This is still a problem. Don't forget about us." I have been a voice when congressmen and women, senators, the National Rifle Association, presidents of the United States, have carried on with their lives, either in silence or by denying the gun pandemic. When they have blamed gang members, drug dealers, the mentally ill, and irresponsible gun owners, but everyone but themselves and their precious guns. But you are all here, you, and you, and that is what gives me hope. That is what probably gives every victim in this country hope, that the unfortunate events that took place were enough to bring this country together to be a unified voice that enough is enough. I believe you won't forget about the children who witnessed such bloodshed that last Friday. Their fear, their broken trust, and their pain. The years and years of healing which lie ahead of them. I have been there. I know all too well what it feels like. My heart goes out to them. I'm confident that you won't forget the unknown names in unknown cities who were killed by guns last week, last night, today, and the ones that will die tomorrow. People like my mother, caring, ambitious, faithful, and full of life. Yet another name. Please don't forget her. People like me who are victims, heartbroken, another childhood completely diminished, another victim, another name. Please don't forget about me. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, wants us to believe that it's mentally ill people right now who are the problem in our country. They want you to believe that more guns and the more arming of society is the solution to such a grave problem. That will not work. Now is the time to act. Now is the time to stand up and shout no more in the gun violence today. My story of tragedy is but one blade of grass in a field of many, many others. A field so vast and endless. But I ask you to join me. I ask you to join other victims. I ask you to join society, to listen to these stories, to read these facts of the issue at hand, and to give us some resolution, to give the children of tomorrow a better hope, a better peace, a better security than what we have been dealing with. I ask you to stand up against the NRA with all of their money and all of their corruption and denial and silence. I ask you to stand up and continue standing up to them, saying enough is enough. To stand up as a voice in our society, to our neighbors, our strangers, family, friends, the people we worship with, and say, enough is enough. Together with me, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Too much gun violence. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Children gunned down. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Too much silence. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Their plan for more guns. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Endless finger pointing. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
More will be killed. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
More lives will be shattered. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
End gun violence. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Thank you very much. And at this time, I'd like to ask Andrew from Monroe, Connecticut to come up and speak with us.